the back. Some people are better at the back, I'm better at mount. So we use the mount a lot. I really like the position, but there's some just important things that you need to do to make it work properly for you. So we'll always talk about like the different levels of mount. So you have like a low mount, which is what they call a mount, a high mount. Including high mount would be like an S mount, stuff like that. But you can kind of divide it into 3 positions, and it's literally like how high up on him am I. Like if my hips are on his hips more, that's going to be a low mount. A regular mount would be usually I'm sitting like right about here, and then a high mount is like anytime I can really get up. I'm like seated on his chest, you know, his arms are kind of being pushed away from his body. A lot of ways to do this stuff, but just general concepts so you understand what I'm referring to. And then an S mount, which is included in like a high mount, is when I would switch off and be making like an S position with my legs. Okay? And we're gonna work on different stuff. I don't know if we'll even hit on S mount till later in the week. You know, we're gonna work our way up, because usually when you first mount somebody, you're gonna either end up here or you're gonna end up with what we call a low mount. And low mount, like I said, is when you're probably on your hands still, your hips are way back there, you just mounted. He's probably pushing on my hips and bucking like a wild person, trying to escape, because when we first get them out, he has the energy to do that, right? Especially if this is a fight or early in a tournament or first round and the guy's fresh, he's able to bump and go wild there for 30 seconds to a minute. And if I'm not anchored down well and I don't have my weight properly, he's probably gonna throw me off pretty good. Like Jose's pretty good at this. He could throw you pretty good. I would imagine Ryan could too. He's a pretty strong guy. You know, they hit you and all of a sudden you're not mounted anymore, and it was worth it. It was worth that short burst of energy. But if I can settle my weight down as I come over, a lot of times I like to lock my feet, and then I pull my heels up to my butt. And by pulling my heels up to my butt, I'm basically extending my hips into, I'm pushing my hips down, pulling my heels up towards my butt. My knees come off the floor automatically when I do this. That's normal. But you can hear him when I do it. Like when I'm supporting myself, he knows I'm there. I mean, I have a little weight to me. But when I pull my heels to my butt, he really knows I'm there. Okay? This is more uncomfortable. Now when he tries to bridge and escape, right? This is tiring for him. He has to lift all my weight each time. I'm really driving my hips down into him, so I'm actually opposing his force. My arms are wide, if you notice, and that makes it so he can't just pull them in and roll me. And it's hard to push me off, because like when I pull my heels to my butt, I'm clamping myself to his hips. If I just didn't do that, if I did more like grapevining and stuff, this is fine. But if he's strong and he presses my hips, you see, you know, he pushed me off pretty easy. But when I clamp myself down like that, alright, I'm not just flying off. And while he's doing this, I can start to bug his neck, bug his head, do some shoulder pressure, go after the arms. But I can start to set up my attacks as he pushes and acts like a wild bronco. And then as he tires, that's when I can start to move to better positions. Because from here, I have attacks, but I have fewer attacks. I can try Americanas, I can try Fedigi, maybe an Ezekiel choke. I can put some shoulder pressure, some forearm pressure on the neck, start setting up some stuff. But to finish from here is harder, because my hips are so far back, I can't just arm bar him, I have to change position. The higher I go, the more attack options I have. So once I work to here, I have many more attack options. I can still Americana, I can start setting things up, right? I can start to try and get the arm separated from the body, get it up to the ear, climb higher. But from here I have more attacks. And then from here, I just have a ton of attacks, right? And it's just gonna be easier. It's hard for him to defend now, right? Even if he's trying to defend his arms. You see his elbows are weak, they're so far away from his body. I can push them away with ease. I can armbar with ease, right? It's hard for him to even defend things like wrist locks. Like it gets silly a little bit. If you get gi on again, I have a lot of collar chokes available. It'd be hard to defend the collar. So the higher I get, the more I can attack. The more difficult it is for him to defend. And also, the higher I crawl or climb, the more ineffective his bump becomes, and the more ineffective all of his escapes become. Because when I'm here, If he frames on my hip and he starts to bridge or shrimp out, you see he can do the shrimp very easy. Even just bridging, if he just bridges, he's gonna pick me up pretty high. You see my knees fall off the floor. The higher I get, now bridge. All right, I don't really move. You know, shrimping out from here is very difficult because he can't get to my legs. Especially since he bridged, now my feet are under his back. So it's very, very difficult to start escaping this position. On top of that, if we're striking, right, the higher I am, the better off I'm going to be too, because if I'm trying to strike and he's bridging, it's going to mess up my punches a little bit. I'm going to have to try and support myself. He's bridging, it's going to be hard for me. But if I'm high, now if I'm punching, he's bridging, I don't care. He can't off balance me. Now he's taking those shots. Right? Just stuff to think about. I can still attack from all positions, but the higher we get, the better it's going to be for me in general. The more opportunities I'll have. But to start with, let's play with the low mount for a few minutes just to get a feel for it. We're going to work from here. Feet are low, clamp them together, lock them, heels to your butt, knees come off the floor, arms are wide. Now the other thing too is I don't actually support myself with my arms. They're on the floor, but they still don't move. I want him to take all my weight, including my chest weight. So it looks like I'm supporting myself, but I'm not. I'm supporting myself like BF here. Right? I clamp everything, and my hands are just brushing on the floor. I like to keep them on there so I always have contact, but they're not holding me up. He's holding me up with his chest. This is worse for him. It's harder. It'll also be way harder for him to frame on my hips, because the most common escape to low mount isn't going to be to bridge me over. It's going to be hard because my arms are like, he's going to want to make a frame on my hips and start hipping out, right? But if I'm laying flat against him, heels to my butt, arms out wide, try to put your frame in. Look how hard he's working. He even get his arms in there. Right? Right. Much more difficult. Because my whole body's in really tight contact with his body, and he's taking all my weight. Okay? That's what we've been talking about. Just in general, that's been the concept we've been working on, how to be heavy. And the best way to be heavy is just remain in constant, tight contact with your opponent. It's not always about driving with a ton of force through somebody. It's just making them carry your body weight. Because even 100 pounds on top of you is still heavy, especially if you're like a wet blanket and you're not resisting, you're not getting stiff. If you just relax on them, that's hard to push, that's hard to move. It works in the mount, it works everywhere. And it allows some part of my body to always stay in contact with my opponent. Okay? Grab a partner, play with the low mount. I want you to feel it. Your person on the bottom should not like being there too much. If they're comfortable, something's wrong.